Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiro Dadia. We have with us Mr. Bhanu Chopra, Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Tanmay Das, Chief Financial Officer at RateGain Travel Technologies, joining in. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and a pleasure to speak to you. Firstly, congratulations on getting to this new milestone of going public. And in fact, in recent times, it's one of the best times where you're seeing a flurry of IPOs that are coming in.
Yes, thank you. No, we are very excited and thanks for having us on your show. We'd love to talk about RateGain. It's a business we built with great amount of passion and grit. So looking forward to our chat.
Absolutely. So let's start with overall in terms of where the IPO details go, and then we can get into details about the company. So how much are we looking to raise? What's going to be the utilization looking like, etc.?
Yeah, so I'll just quickly talk through, what are the use of proceeds are going to be, or maybe let me ask Tanmay to start with the raise amount, and then I can talk through the use of proceeds.
Sure, thanks, Bhanu. So we are currently trying to raise 1,335 crore through the IPO. Out of that, 375 crore is fresh issue, which will be utilized in 4 or 5 areas, which Bhanu will talk about. Balance 960 crore is for the OFS part, which is the secondary sale by current investors. We have 2 institutional investors. One of them, which is TA Associates, they came in back in 2014. So it's been 7 years for them. They are offloading around 75% of their holding. Bhanu, being a promoter, he still holds 65% of the company, and he is diluting very less. I think with the face issue dilution and OFS part combined, he will be diluting around 10% only. The other institutional investor is not selling. So yeah, that's the details. And Bhanu, you can talk about the fresh issue.
Yeah, so in terms of the fresh issue use of proceeds, the goal is to, the company is really hungry for growth. So we've been investing in building new innovative AI powered products, and we want to continue to accelerate the innovation engine. And so we'll continue to launch additional AI ML based products for travel and hospitality industry, just like we've done within the last year. Also looking to invest in our cloud infrastructure, our data center. And as you've probably seen in our filings, we've acquired 3 companies, 2 in the US and 1 in Germany, to basically build out additional capabilities and build an integrated tech stack. So we'll continue to use these funds for scaling up and accelerating through M&A, which continues to help us build capabilities and deepen our footprint in certain key markets. And then part of it is for repayment of some debt and deferred payments related to the acquisitions that we've done in the past.
Right. So overall, if you go to see, I understand in terms of deferred payments, what's the kind of debt that we are trying to retire from these funds?
We have only one debt in our overseas subsidiaries, which we took to acquire one of the companies in the US, and it's roughly around $11 million, $11.4 million, which is around, yeah.
Okay, so are we repaying the full debt, or is it going to be some portion of debt repayment that's going to happen?
Yes, we're repaying the full debt.
All right. And overall, when you say in terms of where investing in growth goes, this is mainly going to be on the technology front, right?
Yes, that's correct. So, as I mentioned, we're seeing an opportunity to really come out of the pandemic and, emerge as one of the top market leaders. So we continue to identify opportunities, and we've launched many new products, and we want to continue to accelerate both new product development, but also scaling all these new product initiatives that we have. So yes, so largely on innovation.
Right. So if you talk about RateGain as a company, what are the core businesses? What is it that we do for investors to understand better?
Yeah. So I'm happy to report that we are the largest hospitality and travel SaaS player out of India. We basically provide AI powered solutions that enable our customers to acquire guests, retain them, and have a wallet share expansion, which I refer to as a RevMax platform. So we really have, three lines of businesses: MarTech, distribution, and DaaS, data as a service. So in our MarTech business, essentially what we do is we provide social media marketing, social selling on behalf of our hotel customers. So we largely do three things there. We enable our hotel customers to sell on social channels. So when you're established that you are, let's say you want to go to, Delhi for a personal or a business trip, and you've established that travel intent basis your behavior on visiting different sites, we will send, campaigns on your profile, on your feeds on Insta and Facebook. Second thing we do is we do brand engagement. So let's say you land at the hotel and you are having a negative experience because you are having to wait in lines, etc., and you post about it on your Twitter or Instagram. So on behalf of the hotel, we do engagement and monitoring that social chatter and controlling any negative sentiment. And the third thing that we do, which is very interesting, we build a social digital footprint of who the guest is, and using that information help the hotel personalize the service. So let's say we know you're very fond of yoga. By looking at your social digital footprint, when you arrive at the hotel places a yoga mat in your room. So that's our MarTech business, which we've expanded the capability now because we acquired another company called My Hotel Shop. Because what we were hearing from our hotels is, look, I have a digital marketing budget. I just don't want to sell on social channels. I want to sell on all channels available. So we identified that hole and we acquired My Hotel Shop, a German-based business. And now we can offer the digital marketing all across, whether it's social, digital, like Google ads, etc. And third, what is prevalent in travel is meta search or price comparison sites. Our second line of business is distribution, where we basically connect the hotels to the OTA system. So when you go on different sites like Expedia, Booking, and Make My Trip, and searching for hotels in Delhi as an example, and you see live rates and availability, and you see the different types of room types, that information is coming on a real-time basis from the hotel system. That's being powered by RateGain, right? And so when you decide to make a booking on any of these channels and your reservation goes back into the hotel system instantaneously, again, it's powered by RateGain. So think of it as a pipe, as a technology pipe between the hotel system and the OTA system. And it's a real-time pipe where on one hand, we are sending rates and availability. On the other, we're getting the guest reservations back into the hotel system. The third thing that we do is data as a service. We basically give different components of data to make our customers savvy about how they do their pricing. So we give them what their competition is doing in terms of pricing, right? Because travel is extremely democratized in terms of the pricing information that's available. Because look at your own behavior as a consumer, you go on multiple sites to find the best travel deal. So it becomes absolutely critical for different players in the travel industry to know what is my competition doing in terms of pricing on a go forward basis. So recently we also launched a couple of additional products in our DaaS business line, which is Demand AI and RevAI, and I'll take a minute each to explain them. So what Demand AI does, it's again an AI powered solution which gives you a sense of how the travel demand is, right? So, and it becomes absolutely critical information, especially in the times that we live, where we have, disruptions in travel, quarantine rules. So we take all that publicly available information, specifically around COVID, the cases, the how many cases you are getting, the vaccination rates, the quarantine rules. Then we have a lot of other third-party information, around how many people are arriving, let's say in the city of Mumbai. So we mash all of that in a data lake and apply AI/ML algorithms to come up with a number, a demand index, which gives you a sense of how travel demand is. So how is this useful? So if you know your demand in your city is going to go up, you can increase the rates of the product that you have, the room or whatever travel business you are. The second thing that we tell you is what is the source of this information, right? What is the source of this traffic? So how many, we can say to you, look, on in the month of December, 15th and 20th December are high, travel dates, high demand dates, and the traffic is coming 30% from Delhi, 20% from Bangalore, and the balance is coming internationally. The the other product that we have is called RevAI, which basically takes all these different components, ties them together, and then makes a recommendation. So we look at comparative data, we look at how the demand is, we look at what is your utilization. It's very similar to what you have seen with Uber and Ola, the concept of search pricing, that when demand is high and not as many cars are available. So we bring in this concept of search pricing to different sub-segments in travel. So we've been very deliberate and we focusing, largely on car rental companies, ferry companies, as well as holiday parks with this product. And all these new product launches, I must indicate to you, is completely blue ocean for us. There's no competition for us, and we're seeing some significant traction. So in a nutshell, again, 3 lines of businesses: MarTech, distribution, and DaaS. But ultimately, what they are doing is helping our customers unlock revenue, but by acquiring customers, retaining them, and having a wallet share expansion.
Right. So with this, if I have to look at the revenue over the past 2 to 3 years, from between FY19 and 20, we did see good growth. FY21, I assume, yes, because of COVID, we did see a downtick. However, what I want to understand now is between DaaS, distribution, and MarTech, how is the revenue generation looking like in terms of the contribution to overall revenues? And where is the focus going to be from here on?
So, if you're absolutely right. Prior to COVID, we were growing north of 50%. And we really accelerated after 2018. So FY19 and 20, you will see those numbers. And largely the company was largely a DaaS company, right? And we did a little bit in distribution. But, post 2018, we really decided to accelerate. And now we moved from being 2-3 products company to 10 products, right? 10 products. And within last year itself, we've launched 3 new products, and we've also acquired a company. So the growth focus now is really on MarTech. If I look at the overall penetration, we're not even at 1%.
Wow.
And we see just tremendous opportunity there. I mean, just to give you a sense in terms of number of hotel customers, we have little less than 400 using the product, but the MarTech solution, especially around social selling, can be sold to about 100,000 hotels. So we're seeing some very good traction over the last 2-3 quarters, because most of our focus is in the US. 65% of our revenue comes from there, and we are seeing things open up. And as a result, we see very, very good order book. In terms of sort of new bookings in our order book in our MarTech business, it's now actually exceeding even pre-COVID levels. So, huge opportunity for growth there. On our distribution business, so in each of these are different business lines, and in each of these business lines, we have launched additional products which make our value proposition more compelling. So in distribution, we launched this, again, AI-powered product called Content AI, which is a tool that enables hotels, because as you can imagine, because of the pandemic, a lot of people were laid off, and hotels, even historically have been very, very manual in how they do things. And now the need for digitization is even far superior. So something like content management was done manually through Excel sheets. So we put together a platform that allows them to manage their content, distribute it to their third parties, and we augment it again with AI ML, where if there are any holes in their content in terms of descriptive or pictorial, we may enhance it using AI/ML, and we're seeing some great traction. So our distribution business is also poised for great growth. And our DaaS business, I already talked about these additional products like Demand AI and Rev AI, which are like completely blue ocean. The other thing it's doing is it's also giving us the opportunity to increase the, the transaction size that we have with the customer. So as an example, in our DaaS products, a car rental company, if it used our competitive pricing data product only, let's say was paying us, as an example, 100 rupees. But because now we are able to give them Demand AI, Rev AI, bundle it into all an end-to-end platform, the pricing, is gone up 10x. So that same customer now is, can almost pay us $1,000, right? Or 1,000 rupees in the example that I just took.
Just
Right.
to add, Hiral, that in terms of perspective, to give perspective to the numbers, look, 2019 we grew 50%, 2020 we grew 50%. Yes, COVID impact happened in 2021 and it grew by 36%. But the 5 months number that we have presented in the RHP, that shows a 30% growth, right?
Correct.
And we also acquired MHS GmbH on 30th of September, which is not yet reflected in those numbers. So we hope to go back to the pre-COVID levels pretty soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
So,
to give perspective.
right. So overall, in terms of, I mean, a lot of different segments that we're looking at, a different model that we're looking at. You have transaction, hybrid, subscription, where subscription is still your maximum revenue generator. Is this the model that is expected to continue as well? Or do you see a rejig happening on that front?
I think the subscription model is going to increase further. That's the goal, because that's a very highly predictable, scalable model in a SaaS environment. We have 74% of subscription model, and that's actually held its ground during COVID, because 35% reduction in revenue is much way better than some of the other hospitality players that they experienced in the COVID times. And that's what our goal is to improve on that subscription percentage.
Right. And again, in terms of where travel type goes, business is really a minuscule portion. If you have to break it up on those bases, are you expecting an increase, or do you think because of COVID, due to the hybrid model of work, less travel, that's something which will remain small and it's going to be leisure that will actually dominate?
I think leisure is going to dominate. It has always dominated the industry, and we are very well poised that because 96% of our revenue is dependent upon leisure travel. And post-COVID, it's the leisure travel, the pent-up demand in the leisure travel is significant, and we're experiencing that benefit as well.
Okay, and moving from there on, if you see in terms of geographies, I think North America is where the maximum concentration is. Europe, Asia Pacific is pretty much similar. Are we targeting any newer geographies for growth?
So, go ahead, Tarun.
We are already present in all significant markets. So we talk about US, Asia Pacific, Europe, and all. But US is still a significant market. The Bhanu talked about MarTech solution, and we've got like little bit lesser than 400 properties. There are, around 50-60,000 more properties to go after in US itself, right? So it's still the TAM in US is significant, and US being a stable economy, and the recovery from COVID is significant there because 70% plus vaccination program is a successful vaccination program. The hotel occupancies in US is almost at a pre-COVID levels. So that really helps us in going back to the pre-COVID levels. I don't see, we acquired MHS GmbH, which is in Europe, and it's going to improve our revenue percentage in Europe. So Europe and US are the areas or the geographies that is going to grow further.
Okay, and overall, if you see in terms of the revenue and client stickiness, how does that look like in terms of recurring revenues?
So if you see our document, even in the COVID year, we added clients, right? There was no reduction in number of clients. And if you see our retention rates in 2020 were at 95%, and it reduced to 89%. but still it's a, at a SaaS benchmark of ballpark of 90% range. Our top customers who are like all the blue chip customers, the big hotel chains and OTAs and car rental companies, none of them have gone bankrupt or closed business because of COVID. All of them have survived, and they are now bracing for triple digit growth. So we have not experienced a significant churn in any of the major accounts even during the COVID period.
Right. Interestingly, if we see a margin profile as well, a pretty strong one in that range of say 75 to 80 is what we've seen in the last 3 years. Is this the number that we expect to continue, or do you think there is a possibility at gross level we will see some bit of a dip coming in from here on, taking growth into consideration? Will we be able to maintain these margins?
Yeah, I think we have a high gross margin business, 80%, close to 80%, and that's I believe that's going to stay there for a longer term because our costs are not linear to revenue, like in terms of headcounts and all. They are not linear to revenue, so the high gross margin is going to stay there.
Okay. And overall, if you have to look at the next 5 years, what are the key milestones we are looking at?
I'm not sure if we can talk about numbers.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sure you can't talk about numbers taking the IPO into consideration, but overall, from a growth perspective, without numbers, what's the plan looking like?
So let me take that. So here if you look at the opportunity ahead of us, we focus largely on the mid-market segment, and this is about, in the hotel segment, which is 80% of our revenues, about 1,200 chains that we are after. I want to say we work with almost 40% of those, and we want to continue to penetrate the rest. In other segments, I would say net maybe there are about another 1,500, 2,000 potential customers that we can go after. And there again, maybe we are at 10-15% penetration. But within the hotel segment, even though we work with a lot of the customers, as I mentioned, we don't work with all the properties that they have. So, as an example, in our MarTech business, with all the large chains, we work with a subset of properties. So the opportunity to grow is to continue to do two things: land additional properties in this mid-market segment with these chains, and to continue to cross-sell and upsell to them. So if you look at our market share overall, it's low single digits. So if you ask me, where do we want to get to in 5 years? I mean, I would want to get to a high double-digit % market share of this total available SAM to us. So, huge opportunity in front of us, and now it's all about us executing on it. I think we began a good run starting 2018. However, COVID put it a pause, but as we sort of recover, we're seeing, great opportunity ahead of us.
Right. And one question I want to ask you overall is on the profitability front. I mean, I understand for the last 29 months, we've seen negative earnings. And that's something, probably could influence an investor as well. Though the margins have been on the positive side, there has been amortization of the cost of acquisitions and depreciation provisioning also, which has resulted in a loss at net levels. But overall, how do you see the trajectory from here on? Again, no numbers over here because of the concerns, but from here on, is it a positive trajectory that we are looking at?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that point because we never had a year at a loss at an operating level. Not a year, not a quarter. Bhanu bootstrapped this company since beginning, and till in 2018, 19, before 2019, we had 20% EBITDA margin company. And in 2021, even in the COVID year, when the revenue reduced, we still earned around 10% EBITDA.
Mm.
In the 5 months ending August 2021 is around 11% EBITDA. So operating level, we are profitable. We're not burning cash. We are generating cash. Even in the COVID year, we generated 20 crore operating cash. Yes, the PAT level, it shows a loss. That's primarily because of the, as you said, the acquisitions we have done, and we acquire software companies, so we acquire intangible assets. So we need to amortize that. That's a more of an accounting investment. But from a cash perspective, we are a cash generative company. We have, we don't need cash for our operations. Whatever fresh issues we are asking for or raising, those primarily for organic or inorganic expansion, not for running the day-to-day business.
Right. And my last question coming is, especially in terms of, we've not spoken about competition, and to my understanding, I think we will see somewhere a first mover advantage. Is that the possibility?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, all these new products that we are launching, it's completely blue ocean, and it's positioning the company in a very, very different orbit, because none of our competitors have some of these capabilities, the AI capabilities that we have launched. In terms of general comment I'll make about competition is, first of all, there's no competitor in India at all. And even globally, for all these 3 different business lines, we have different competitors, but they're largely one-trick ponies. So they have 1 or 2 products. Nobody has such a comprehensive suite. And, we were beginning to see, as I said, we were in a similar position back in 2018. If you ask me that question, portfolio, and it makes the value proposition all that more compelling for our customers when they see an integrated tech stack. So you're absolutely right. In some sense, we have that first mover advantage with all these new product launches that we're doing.
Absolutely. And it looks like a good trajectory from here on as well. Thank you, Bhanu. Thank you, Tanmay, for joining us on the show. Pleasure to speak to you guys. Congratulations once again, and looking forward to a great listing, and speak soon and stay safe.
Thanks, Hiral. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.